All right. All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Senate Committee on Education. I'm Senator Angie Taylor, and I have the honor of leading our meeting today. Let's start with our roll call. Madam Secretary.
Senator Buck, Senator Cruz Crawford, Senator Donyate, Senator Darrell Loop, Senator Rogish, Senator Titus, Chair Taylor.
And I am present. Thank you very much. Just quickly, housekeeping. We know the routine. Silence your devices. Sign in if you want to testify. Turn the mic on. Speak loudly. Say your name and spell your last name. We'll have 2 minutes for public comment when it's that time. That public comment number, 888-475-4499. ID, meeting ID 858-260-86100. Let's see what else. You know, we have our laptops and what we do with that because everyone's been here before. So let's get going. Today we have a hearing on two bills we will hear for the first time. Senate Bill 279 and Senate Bill 374. We do see a few people in Las Vegas, so welcome to those who are here in Carson and in Las Vegas, and if anyone's on the phone lines. We will start with Senate Bill 278, which is revises provisions relating to education. Then we'll do our other hearing. This is from Senator Cruz Crawford. We'll do our other hearing, and then we have several bills on work session. Senator, please go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Hello, thank you, committee. Thank you, Chair. My name is Shelley Cruz Crawford. I am a senator that represents Senate District 1 in beautiful North Las Vegas. Today, I have before you Senate Bill 278. I was able to meet with pretty much everybody on the committee almost, so I'm going to do a very, very brief presentation. This bill came out of work that I worked on through the Principal Advisory Cabinet at the state level with the Nevada Department of Education. I worked closely with the Nevada Department of Education on this language, and also part of the Teacher Recruitment and Retention Task Force aimed at recruitment, retention, and promotion. I am going to walk through this amendment with you because this is really the bill. Because the bill did not come out to my exact intent. So I'll start with Section 1. Section 1 is all about licensing. This verbiage comes directly with my work with the Nevada Department of Education. As we know, there's lots of alternative routes to licenses, and I think definitely Senator Darrell Loop and I can agree that sometimes it's frustrating in education how many alternative routes because it kind of downplays the work that we do in education, but we have found that it is necessary to have some alternative routes to licensure. And with that, we have several alternative routes. For example, if someone is going to an alternative route for a general education degree, in a fourth grade classroom, and they're serving in a fourth grade classroom, and then a autism unit opens and there's a need in their school, it's hard to shift because you can't stack provisional licenses. So this would make this part of the bill would allow for the commission shall consider and write regulation as appropriate for additional streamlined alternative pathways to licensure and interim pathways to additional endorsement for all counties without employment restrictions. So this would help streamline that licensing and simplify that. Section 2 of the bill was removed. That would require a administrative leadership or remove districts from allowing teacher leadership, administrative leadership academies, and that portion was removed. And Section 3 is language that came from the Nevada Department of Education. And I just received communication from Jeff Brisky, who works for the NBDOE. He said this portion would remove the fiscal note that was attached. So I'll forward that on, okay? But this is cleanup language. Right now we have a read by 3 statute, and it really helps monitor our students' growth, to make sure they're on grade level by 3rd grade. This portion came out of the Teacher Retention Task Force to make sure that we don't create teacher burnout. So the extra language here on Section 3.2, it says a plan to monitor growth of a pupil who is identified as a struggling reader according to the Read by 3 indicator. So that
that part is added as cleanup language. And then mostly section 3.4 here. It says a pupil who performs above the level determined by a statewide assessment established by the State Board of Education for a pupil enrolled in the same grade in which the pupil is enrolled is no longer required to read by 3 services. Most Read by 3 services is a strategist hired at a school level, and they help students to make sure they get on grade level. So this would put all those resources toward those struggling readers, which it looks like a lot of our a lot of our bills here in this committee is going focused toward those struggling readers. And with that, that concludes my bill presentation, and hand it back.
Thank you so much, Senator. As we continue on in the hearing for Senate Bill 278, I will look to the committee for any questions. Seeing no questions, must be deadline day. We'll ask you to go ahead and. No, she did, and she's met with everybody. So thank you, Senator. But please go ahead and sit back. We'll open it up for any testimony during this hearing, testimony and support. If you're here in Carson City, please come forward. If you are in Las Vegas for support, please come forward as well, and then we'll get to the phone lines. Please, sir, go right ahead.
Brad Keating, representing Clark County School District. It is deadline day, so we appreciate the sponsor working with us on the amendments, and we support the bill as it is today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keating.
Susan Kima, Executive Director for the Nevada Association of School School Superintendents, and I'll say ditto, we do support SB 278. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kima.
Thank you, Chair Brian Wallace, Nevada State Education Association. We appreciate Senator Cruz Crawford reaching out to the association and working with us as we continue to move through this session. Ditto.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Seeing no one else coming forward in Carson City, we will go to Las Vegas. Please go ahead, state your name when you are ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor and members of this committee. My name is Dr. Brenda Pearson, and I'm representing the Clark County Education Association, speaking in support of Senate Bill 278. CCA understands the importance of a child to read by grade 3, and we believe it is critical for a child's success and future opportunities to dedicate the time needed to gain reading proficiency. The amendment proposed to Senate Bill 278 removes the requirement for a student to receive those services if they are reading at or above grade level. With about 40% of CCSD students reading at grade level, the removal of this requirement will enable educators to free up valuable time to spend with students who need to improve their reading proficiency. CCA is in full support of Senate Bill 278 and its amendment. CCA thanks the sponsor of this bill and urges you to support it.
Thank you, Dr. Pearson. Seeing no one else in Las Vegas, we will go to the phone lines. AVH, do we have a caller in support?
Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much, and we'll proceed in the hearing to any opposition testimony here in Carson City or in Las Vegas. All right, seeing none. Anyone on the phone line, AVH?
Chair, there are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much, and we'll just continue on to neutral. Any neutral testimony? Seeing no one coming forward in Carson City or Las Vegas, and we'll see if a caller snuck in that little bit of time. AVH?
Chair, there are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. And for those who did testify, Senator, would you like to have any closing comments?
Shelley Cruz Crawford for the record. I just want to thank everyone that has provided feedback, and I look forward to continuing creating legislation with our stakeholders, our teachers, our Nevada Department of Ed, and this committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. We will now close the hearing on Senate Bill 278, and as we open the hearing for Senate Bill 374, I will turn it over to our Vice Chair.
Welcome, and Chair Taylor, you may go ahead when you're ready. I'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 374.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, and to the committee. My name is Angie Taylor from Senate District 15. I proudly represent Senate District 15, and thank you for this opportunity to come before you on today. A little bit of background. I'm presenting here Senate Bill 374 for your consideration. Just some background information. Last session, Some of you may recall the legislature took meaningful action to address one of the most challenging issues in our schools, and that's student behavior, by passing Senate Bills 285 and 330. Taken together, those bills aim to do two things: improve disciplinary processes and promote a safer school environment, and also provide a more robust support system for students demonstrating behavior issues. While those bills were a positive step forward, in speaking with school staff, we have noticed that there are some missing pieces to positively impact student behavior and making sure our educators are prepared and equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge. Senate Bill 374 is designed to support and strengthen the intent of AB 285 and AB 330 by addressing three critical areas: professional development, student behavior support, and data transparency. With your permission, if you would like, I can walk through the bill.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, it's a short bill, so. Walking through the bill, Senate Bill 374 requires the Board of Trustees of each school district to ensure that all school staff, including teachers, administrators, and education support professionals, receive the appropriate professional development training. It says within the first 30 days of the school year, but that part has been amended out. This training, however, must include strategies and best practices in addressing student behavior, fostering a positive school climate, positive behavioral interventions and supports, conflict resolution, and de-escalation techniques, along with classroom management. It also requires the Nevada Department of Education, NDE, in coordination with regional training programs, to develop the training curricula that school districts can use to satisfy the training. It also requires a higher level of reporting and transparency in terms of reporting to the legislature once implemented. The amendments there are two amendments you'll see. The first amendment is to further define the required training and ensure that it supports the training that already exists in AB 250 from the 82nd session. Is not additional training, it just further defines that training. And then the second amendment defines the supports intended to support students with behavior issues. This included program has been piloted initially, I should say already previously, by the Nevada Department of Education, and it has seen very positive results. Before closing, I do want to say, although we're not a fiscal committee, I want to mention there is a fiscal note which can be found on Nellis. And with that, I'm prepared to take any questions, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And do I have any questions from the committee? They wore us down. All right, with that, if you'll step back, we'll go to those in support of Senate Bill 374. Go ahead when you're ready.
My name is Susan Kima, Executive Director for the Nevada Association of School Superintendents, and we are testifying in support of SB 374. The amendments provide the flexibility school districts need to implement the bill's requirements. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good afternoon. I'm Senate Education. My name is Nicole Flangas, last name Flangas, with the Nevada Association of School Boards. We're here today in support of Senate Bill 374. We really appreciate the degree of autonomy inside the districts, but also creating that MTSS system, getting standardized care that's a wraparound services around discipline is something in line with our priorities. So thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brian Wallace, the teacher and vice president of the Nevada State Education Association, and NSCA supports SB 374. NSCA has a long history of engagement on the issues of educator safety and student disciplinary actions. One issue has been the lack of resources and training to properly implement student discipline. This was especially the case with the failed implementation of the restorative justice system approximately 5 years ago. This is why we support SB 374. We must continue to provide educators and our education support staff with professional development on the best practices when it comes to discipline and the behavior of our students. This bill will build upon the work that is already taking place within our schools. The bill may also help ensure that district-wide restorative discipline plans are just not sent to us, but also explained to us, especially with them being structured around MTSS. A mutual understanding of the implementation of these plans is essential for the success of our students and our staff members. SB 374 is a continued step forward addressing these shortcomings, and we ask for your support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair and Committee. My name is Sabrina Schnur, Sabrina Schnur, and I'm here today on behalf of Boys Town, Nevada. We are just offering a ditto in support. Thank you.
Jonathan Norman, NORMAN, Nevada Coalition of Legal Service Providers. Thank you, Vice Chair. Deadline ditto.
Top that, Mr. Keating.
Can't.
Go ahead. We're waiting for you.
Brad Keating, Clark County School District.
Okay.
Ditto.
We
Thank
got
you.
it. That was a thumbs up. And I don't see anyone else here in Carson City. And so we'll go to Las Vegas. And Dr. Pearson, we'll put one on you. Top that.
Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Dr. Brenda Pearson, representing Clark County Education Association, speaking in support of Senate Bill 374. Student behavior has worsened over the years, and we know that there are a myriad of situations that are a direct result of student behavior, whether that's academic deficiencies, mental health concerns, learning environment that's not engaging or motivating. But Nevada needs to stop admiring our data and take action. Senate Bill 374 not only requires professional learning to give teachers tools to deal with behavioral challenges, but the amendment designates an MTSS district lead and the development of an action plan that will help us monitor and document strategies addressing disparities. The creation of the statewide support system will help Nevada understand the successes and struggles across all of our districts. And it is CCA's expectation that this data will lead to improvements in not only the way that schools deal with student behavior, but in rectifying the inequities we see in the implementation of student discipline. As a state, we're not reaching all of our children, and we are losing too many teachers due to the behavior in the classrooms and schools every day. Senate Bill 347 aims to refine the behavioral supports we give students, increase teacher strategies, and create accountability for what is happening in our schools. Through the data provided, we can learn how to meet the students' needs where they are and build an environment that will foster growth both academically and behaviorally. Thanks. CCA wants to thank Chair Taylor for reaching out to CCA for our input, and we're in full support of Senate Bill 347 and its amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pearson, and thank you for those words of encouragement for our teachers. Anyone else down in Las Vegas for Senate Bill 374? Seeing none, we'll go to the phone lines. AVH, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of Senate Bill 374, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll go to opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City in opposition? Seeing none, we'll go to Las Vegas. Anyone in Las Vegas in opposition? Seeing none, we'll go to the phone lines. AVH, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition to Senate Bill 374, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll go to neutral. Here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, neutral. And on the phone lines, AVH, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in neutral to Senate Bill 374, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'll call Chair Taylor back up to the... Okay, she's done. Ditto to everything. All righty. And with that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 374, and we'll welcome Chair Taylor back into her chair.
All right, thank you everyone for getting quickly through the hearing of those two bills, and for those who are presented and called in. Now we will get to our work session. We will go to our work session, and we have work session documents that are available to everyone. And we will work session several bills. We're going to work session Senate Bill 81, Senate Bill 174, Senate Bill 175. Oh, yeah, okay. Senate Bill 254, Senate Bill, I don't have my list in front of me, 368, Senate Bill 396, Senate Bill 403. So we will begin. Our policy analyst, Ms. Sturm Gaynor, will begin. Thank you so much. And if it's the pleasure of the committee, thank you so much. We will also work session the two bills that we heard today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Taylor. Jen Sturm Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst with the Research Division of the Legislative Council Bureau. As a reminder, as nonpartisan staff, I cannot advocate for or against any measure. Today, I'll walk the committee through the work session document, and copies should be in front of you all, and they've all been placed in the meeting rooms for the public, and they're available electronically. And with the chair's permission, I may skip through some of the bill summaries, but will read out the details of amendments. And since the amendments proposed are mainly conceptual, please be aware that the formal amendment drafted by the legal division will likely modify suggested language, but will reflect the intended change. Okay. Beginning with Senate Bill 81, we heard this bill, the Committee on Education heard this bill on April 9th, and that bill is sponsored by the Department of Education. SB 81 requires the department to create and conduct certain surveys related to school climate, working conditions, and employee departures in public schools. It requires public schools to use survey results to assess and improve staff retention, school climate, and working conditions, and prohibits survey data use for evaluation of certain licensed educational personnel, and its inclusion in the statewide system of accountability for public schools. The department must recognize schools with a survey response rate of at least 85%. The bill also revises the term Victory Services to Services for At-Risk Pupils and Zoom Services to Services for Pupils who are English learners. Additionally, the bill requires the commission to prescribe qualifications and procedures for licensed teachers and other licensed educational personnel to become licensed administrators. The bill also eliminates the requirement for the department to recommend to public schools a minimum amount of money that must be expended on textbooks and other instructional items. Furthermore, the bill revises several provisions relating to the administration, eligibility, and award amount of the Teach Nevada Scholarship Program, Nevada Teacher Advancement Scholarship Program, and incentivizing pathways to teaching grant program. The department proposed the following amendments. Those amendments are attached to this document. And those are summarized below conceptually, so I'll walk through those. First Amendment removes sections 3, 33, and 34 concerning the timing for transfers of revenue to the State Education Fund. 2, add without restrictions on employment to subsection 2 of section 18 as it relates to requiring the Commission on Professional Standards to prescribe qualifications and procedures for licensed teachers and other licensed educational personnel to become licensed administrators. Remove language in section 22 and 27 concerning the 25% scholarship limit regarding the Nevada Teach Advancement and Teach Nevada scholarships if an educator stays and teaches in a public school for 3 to 5 years. Revise NRS 387.1223 to include charter schools and university schools for profoundly gifted children as it relates to the reporting of the average daily enrollment of pupils and the calculation of the yearly apportionment from the State Education Fund. Revise subsection 7 of NRS 388.360 to authorize the State Board of Education to request the state superintendent to make studies and investigations relating to career and technical education rather than direct. revise NRS 388.396 to authorize the superintendent to designate a program professional to evaluate the grant expenses and effectiveness of a CTE program rather than the executive director of the state board. Requires that any earned interest and income in the Teach Nevada Nevada Teacher Advancement and Incentivizing Pathways to Teaching Grant Program accounts be credited to their respective accounts and not revert any funds from the accounts to the State General Fund. And finally, requires the department to provide block grants to approved colleges, universities, or other providers of alternative licensure programs relating to the distribution of funds for the Teach Nevada, Nevada Teacher Advancement, and Incentivizing Pathways to Teaching Scholarships. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. At this time, if it is the pleasure of the committee, I'll entertain the motion to amend and do pass.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, and seconded by Senator Titus. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Nope, then the motion carries. Oh, yeah, yes, I do have to know. It's 6-0 as we're missing one person, but we do have a quorum, and I will assign that floor statement. This was in the e-bill. Huh? I'll take the floor statement. Please go right ahead, Ms. Stern-Gaynor.
Thank you, Chair. Jen Sturm-Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst. The next bill on work session is Senate Bill 174, which was presented by Senator Orenshaw on March 24th. The bill requires the Board of Trustees of each school district and the governing body of each charter school to develop and post a policy relating to the way a pupil with autism and an IEP receives medically necessary treatment or services by private instructional personnel in a school setting. The policy must, 1, require notice of the pupil's right to request access to medically necessary treatment and the right to appeal the decision. 2, provide protocols for private instructional personnel to collaborate with certain district or school personnel. And 3, not require the school district or charter school to pay for any treatment or services addressed in the policy. Lastly, the Board of Trustees of each school district and the governing body of each charter school must report related information, and the department then must report this information on its website and submit it to the legislature. So several amendments were proposed for this bill as well, and again, those are the details of those are attached to this document, and I'll summarize them here. Number 1, require the distribution and posting of the policy governing the manner in which certain pupils with autism spectrum disorders receive medically necessary treatment or services. Expands on the protocols for private instructional personnel to provide evaluations and coordinate medically necessary treatment and others in certain circumstances, and impose requirements for such personnel to carry a professional liability insurance policy at the district requirement level. 3, authorize the school district or charter school to require a written acknowledgement from the parent or legal guardian, a written acknowledgement it does not accept any duty to pay for an outside service provider, and 3, the multidisciplinary team to include such entities to provide assessment or treatment for inclusion in the IEP related to certain services. Number 4, revises the definition of medically necessary treatment to include the treatment of pupils with disabilities. 5, revises the definition of volunteer to include any private instructional personnel providing services to pupils with disabilities in a private setting within a school setting. And finally, not reflected on the bill page is an amendment to add provisions contained in Senate Bill 357, and including amendments to that language, which would require the option for pupils who are blind or visually impaired or deaf or hard of hearing to use a cane, authorize pupils to use alternative methods for learning assistance, and expand the definition of assistive technology for a pupil with visual or hearing impairment to include technology and artificial intelligence that meets the needs of pupils when possible, including Braille, audio tape, or enlarged print. Madam Chair.
Thank you so much for that explanation. We will now entertain the motion to amend and do pass Senate Bill 174.
So moved.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair, and thank you very much, Senator Titus. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? The motion carries 7-0, and we will assign that floor statement to Senator Orenshaw. And I do want to go back and assign the floor statement. I meant to give that to Senator Titus. 81? Senate Bill 81, Senator. Oh, I thought you said you were taking. I was. I'll give it to Senator Titus. Thank you. She seconded that, so I'm going to get her involved.
Thank you, Chair. Jen Sturm-Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst. The next bill on work session is Senate Bill 175, which is sponsored by Senator Rogish and was heard on March 17th. The bill authorizes a person who is a member or veteran of the United States Armed Forces and holds certification as an instructor in the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps, or the JROTC program, as satisfying the alternative route to licensure program requirements in Nevada for such position. Additionally, it requires a school district to also consider certification as a JROTC instructor in an application for employment by a person who is a member of the U.S. Armed Forces, in addition to veterans, as credit toward any required training, experience, certification, or licensure. Senator Rogish proposed the following amendment to amend subsection 3 of section 1 of the bill to provide that the only endorsement a person who receives a license pursuant to that subsection may receive is an endorsement to teach pupils in a JROTC program.
Thank you very much. If it's the pleasure of the committee, I'll entertain the motion to amend and do pass.
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Chair. Is there a second? There's a second from Senator Titus. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? The motion carries 7-0, and we'll assign that floor statement to Senator Rogish, and congratulations for getting the bill to the floor. Please go ahead, Ms. Sturm-Gaynor.
Thank you, Chair. The next bill on work session, Jen Sturm-Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst. The next bill is Senate Bill 254, which is sponsored by the Nevada Youth Legislature. We heard this bill on March 5th. Senate Bill 254, as introduced, requires NDE to adopt policy concerning the notification of the parent or legal guardian of a pupil who has exhibited signs and behaviors consistent with substance use. I'm going to jump to the amendment here. The following amendment was proposed by the Department of Education. Additional details, of course, are attached to this document. 1, remove all suggested language in the bill as introduced. And 2, require the Department of Education, in collaboration with state and local experts, to develop, implement, and disseminate a model policy for universal behavioral, social, and emotional well-being screening for pupils in kindergarten through grade 12 that is based on the principles of a multi-tiered system of support framework. The policy must include evidence-based implementation models, a list of valid and reliable well checks and screenings, support and resources for school staff, and progress monitoring and evaluation methods for the tracking and effectiveness of such screenings. The model policy, which includes screening, is optional for school districts to implement.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sturm-Gaynor. I will entertain the motion to amend and do pass.
Can we have a little discussion on the amendment first?
Oh, okay.
Or the amendment. I was just wondering about, that's a heavy lift for them. I was just wondering about implementation date. I didn't see it.
I don't think an implementation date was included, but we can certainly get that.
Yeah, I was just worried if there was one, because I'm looking at the amendment, I support it. Just wondering if, the timeline that they had to get all this done, making sure they had adequate time.
No,
and when there's no date, how does that work?
Well, the amendment was the NDE is who assisted on the amendment.
Right.
So we may, I don't know if Zach is here. I don't know if he knows when NDE may, Ms. McGill is here. Even better, she actually wrote it.
The original bill
Please
says
come
effective
forward.
upon passage.
Okay, Ms. McGill, you'll be implementing this primarily.
Christy McGill for the record. Yes, we have been working with the University of Nevada, Reno. We have this in place now. We just need to work with the districts to put on the final touches, and so we can be ready to go as soon as it passes.
So, Ms. McGill, if you would, so your recommendation is to stay with the same implementation date, which is upon passage.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Titus, did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as you can do what you're.
No, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ms. McGill. I didn't see you back there. Thank you so much. Okay, any further discussion? Let's just get a motion. Is there a motion on the floor to amend and do pass Senate Bill 254?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second? Second from Senator Titus. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, the motion carries. Let the record show it is 7-0. I'll sign that floor statement to Senator Buck. Ms. Stern Gaynor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And skipping to Senate Bill 368, as we pulled Senate Bill 272 and Senate Bill 357. The next bill on work session is Senate Bill 368, which is sponsored by Senator Rogish. This bill was heard on March 26th. The bill ensures the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act continues to apply in Nevada as it existed on July 1st, 2025, if it is repealed by the federal government. Additionally, the bill provides a person who previously had the right to bring a civil action in a district court of the United States pursuant to IDEA to bring such action in a court of competent jurisdiction in the state. Several amendments were proposed, which are attached to this document. First, an amendment provides that it is the intent of the legislature to ensure the continued provision of appropriate educational services to children with disabilities in the event IDEA or any of its parts is repealed by the federal government. 2, authorizes the legislature to wholly or partially adopt IDEA, including any of its provisions, standards, or requirements as they existed if repealed by the federal government, rather than applying IDEA in Nevada as it exists on July 1st, 2025, if repealed by the federal government. 3, requires the State Board of Education to adopt regulations to implement Section 1 of the bill. 4, requires that if any provision in the bill and its application is determined invalid, its invalidity does not render other provisions and sections unenforceable. Next, requires any funds for special education, including federal block grants, to be used only for services to IDEA eligible pupils and to identify and evaluate IDEA eligible pupils. Prevents any provision in the bill from being interpreted as altering any educational standards, protections, or procedures for pupils with disabilities in chapters 388 and 392 of NRS. And finally, changes the effective date of the bill. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Stern Gaynor. If it's the pleasure of the committee, I'll entertain the motion to amend and do pass.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second? Seconded from Senator Cruz Crawford. Any discussion? Senator Titus?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I certainly understand and appreciate what the sponsor concerns are in bringing the bill forward. I worry that it is unprecedented that we are committing the state to do something that may or may not happen at an unknown expense, and so I'm not comfortable with this policy. The idea and the policy of treating the kids, I understand all that, I support all that, but just passing a bill on what ifs, I have to be a no.
Thank you, Senator Titus. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition?
No, nay.
Let the record show that the motion passes, amended new pass passes 6-1, and we will, I'll assign that for statement to Senator Rogic. Ms. Stern Gaynor?
Thank you, Chair. Jen Sturm Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst. The next bill on work session is Senate Bill 396, which is sponsored by Senator Rogish. We heard this bill on Wednesday. The bill requires the department to establish a professional development program on certain literacy topics to certain school personnel. The bill requires the state board to develop guidelines concerning universal literacy screenings. The Board of Trustees of each school district and the governing body of each charter school must prescribe and administer a universal literacy screening. These entities are also prohibited from making certain assignments to school personnel providing instructions instruction to pupils with disabilities and exceeding limitations on the number of such pupils in a classroom. Additionally, Senate Bill 396 provides for certain definitions governing pupils with disabilities and expands on certain requirements for due process hearings. The bill also requires the department to develop a plan for stability in providing a special education program and provides for requirements to be included in an IEP for certain pupils. Additionally, SB 396 requires emergency operation plans to include a consideration of the needs of pupils with disabilities and a plan to communicate these needs to certain entities. Finally, the bill expands on the existing legislative declaration that a safe and respectful learning must be provided to all school staff in addition to pupils. There are several amendments to this bill here, and the first one is an attachment 1 that's got most of them, and then there's another attachment 2, that's that I'll go over.
Just briefly, because I think we've all read those.
Okay. And so, yeah. Yeah, and so at the chair's discretion, I can do that.
Okay
So,
with that?
yeah, thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sturmgainer. We'll dispense of, there are several amendments, we'll dispense of the reading. We all have them in front of us, and we'll move forward and entertain the motion to amend and do pass.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. There's a second from Senator Titus. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? The motion carries 7-0, and we'll assign that floor station to Senator Rogich. Ms. Sturmgainer?
Thank you, Jen Sturmgater, Committee Policy Analyst. The next bill on work session, Senate Bill 403, sponsored by Senator Don Loop, which was heard on the 7th. This bill creates the Subcommittee on Metrics of the Commission on Innovation and Excellence in Education to develop metrics that school districts and schools can use to assess the performance of pupils, schools, and districts. I'm going to jump here to the amendments section, and that's the amendments are also attached to this bill page, but I'll go ahead and read those real quick. Senator Don Loop proposed the following amendments. 1, add 3 members to the commission. 2, require the subcommittee on metrics to develop metrics in collaboration with the Department of Education. 3, eliminate language that places limitations on the ability to authorize a reduction of more than 15 school days when approving an alternative schedule of instruction. And 2, the type of program that may receive such a reduction if approved for an alternative schedule. Remove the unfunded mandate attached to sections 4 and 5. Include references to local educational agencies. Replace the definition of competency-based learning in Section 6 with a new definition for personalized competency-based learning. Define the portrait of a Nevada learner. Remove the existing Sections 7 and 8 and instead repeal NRS 389.210 and 389.230. Establish a process by which certain entities may apply to the department for approval to provide a program of personalized competency-based learning. Require the provider of a CBL program to ensure compliance with applicable laws and regulations. Authorize alternative scheduling for pupils participating in a CBL program. Establish methods by which a pupil participating in a CBL program may demonstrate proficiency in a specific course of study. Provide for the adoption of regulations by the state board to carry out CBL programs. Amend provisions concerning certain agreements that include a plan to provide opportunities for career exploration to pupils enrolled in Nevada schools. Changes the appropriation amount. Eliminates subsection 1A of section 25 that makes grants to school districts to assist schools in participation in the pilot program. Specify the professional development outlined in subsection 1B1 of section 25 is intended to additionally address methods to redesign schools and school culture to create higher performing systems of competency-based instruction. And finally, require NDE to also develop recommendations by the commission in section 25.
Thank you, Ms. Sturmgainer. I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass, if that's the pleasure.
I move to amend and do pass.
Thank you, Senator Cruz Crawford. We have a second from Senator Titus. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? The motion carries. That the record show it is unanimous, and we will assign that floor statement to the Vice Chair. And then we will continue on in work session, the 2 bills that we heard today. We've heard the amendments and so on, so we just went through all of those. So you can read the description and we can go from there. Thank you, Mr. Sturmgainer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Jen Storm Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst. We just heard these two bills today, so I'll just briefly read the general idea. Senate Bill 278 prohibits the Board of Trustees of a school district from requiring prospective school administrators to complete a pre-service program for aspiring administrators before applying for employment as a school administrator. There were several proposed amendments from Senator Cruz Crawford, which are all available on Nellis and in the materials today. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Sturm Gaynor. I will entertain the motion to amend and do pass if that's the pleasure of the committee.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second? Seconded from Senator Titus. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? The motion carries. Let the record show it's 7-0, and that floor statement will be assigned to Senator Cruz Crawford. Almost there. Almost there. Ms. Sturm Gaynor.
Thank you, Chair. Jen Storm Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst. The final bill on work session today. Again, we heard this bill earlier today. Senate Bill 374 requires the Board of Trustees of each school district to provide certain staff and employees professional development training related to the discipline and behavior of pupils. Both attachments are available on Nellis, and there is an additional amendment that is not provided on Nellis, but that is to require the professional development training pursuant to subsection 1 of 1 to run in parallel with existing training on the plan for progressive discipline required pursuant to Assembly Bill 285 of the 2023 session. Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sturm Gaynor. I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Is there a second? Seconded from Senator Titus. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Is there opposition? The motion carries. Let the record show us 7-0, and I will take that floor statement. Thank you very much, Ms. Sturm Gaynor, and thank you so much to the committee. We will go down to the last item on our agenda, and that is public comment. If there's anyone here in Carson City who would like to make public comment, please come forward at this time. Or if there's anyone in Las Vegas, please do the same. Seeing none, we will go to the phone lines. Whenever you're ready, AVH.
Thank you, Chair. The public line's open and working, and we have no callers at this time.
Thank you so much, AVH. We are dismissed. Thank you, everyone, for getting through deadline day and covering those bills. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend.